Look, I'll be the first to admit it. I've spent many hours of my career telling you which superpowers and abilities and augmentations you don't want. From super strength to super speed to flight to invisibility to X-ray vision to teleportation, I've ruined a lot of dreams. Well, maybe I have, and even though I don't feel bad about that, today I want to explain to you a superpower that I think you actually do want, because scientifically speaking, I think an adamantium skeleton would be pretty sick.
Now entering the facility.
Bone is an amazing material. A latticework of fibers and proteins supporting a mineralized matrix that is not only strong, it's tough, able to handle the stresses and strains of daily vertebrate life. The human skeleton is pretty robust and I'm told pretty cool to hang your flesh husk on, but famously, the mutant known as Wolverine has the ultimate in bone technology, Canadian bones covered in adamantium, a so-called indestructible metal. To prove to you this is the kind of augmentation you might actually want in terms of superpowers, we first have to evaluate the mechanical properties of bone, and that means defining strength in more scientific terms. In engineering speak, the ultimate strength of a material is a description of how much stress it can handle before failing. This stress limit could be in the single digits or in the billions, but in general, very strong materials can withstand stresses in the millions of pascals of pressure or newtons per square meter, and bone is one of those materials. A typical human bone can take 100 megapascals of pressure before snapping and cracking, like when you were a kid and you fell off that wall outside of the taqueria and you broke your collarbone on your birthday.
Too much information.
Right, sorry. When force is applied to a bone before it breaks, it will of course deform or strain by some amount in comparison to its original shape. For any material then, we can graph the force required to change its shape, and where this curve tops out is the ultimate strength. Bone is incredible, and given just how often we seem to be playing catch up with nature, how we're always finding some new substance or natural material that blows what humans have made out of the water, you'd be forgiven in thinking that natural bone must just be naturally better. But that's simply not true. Whoa, Lola, where'd you get that giant bone? From which zoo? I gotta make some calls. Bone may be pretty boss. Do people still say that? But artificial materials outperform it across pretty much every metric that matters. Now, I don't know how strong adamantium is supposed to be, so let's just use some reference values for a common steel. Oh, that? Yeah, I had that bad boy installed a while ago. I give killer high fives. Steels make bone look downright weak, with ultimate strengths 5 to 10 times higher than that of bone. Not megapascals, but up to gigapascals. Not only that, but steels are much more robust in terms of energy absorption, which your bone prison needs when it's moving around and taking impacts. The physics here are pretty obvious. Steel is stronger, more resilient, tougher, it bends more and fractures less, and we could extend that reasoning out to adamantium. Mechanically speaking, it would be better than a bone skeleton, pretty much however we want to define it. And what it would allow you to do is why I think you want it. I know you want it. If metal is so superior, Kyle, I can hear you asking in that exact tone of voice, why hasn't evolution produced some kind of metal endoskeleton already? Well, thank you for your question. I love your voice. First of all, it's important to remember that evolution doesn't necessarily always select the most perfect or strongest material or design. It only goes with what works in a population over time, over many, many generations, from random mutations that are randomly presented to it. Second, there is no actual limitation on incorporating metal in a significant way in a body plan, and so there is kind of a Wolverine-like creature. Look at the scaly-foot snail. This gastropod has iron sulfide plates all over its foot that look like armor. But scientists don't actually know what these plates are for. They could be for protection from the hydrothermal vents, all the hot gases and water that they live around, or it could be, interestingly enough, a byproduct of the microorganisms living inside of these snails. This would be a very weird form of detoxification and not armor at all. Now I know that these snails don't exactly look like Logan, but it's at least proof that incorporating metal in a significant way, biologically speaking, is at least phenotypically possible. Snail chainmail, baby. So, why do you want an adamantium skeleton like Wolverine, or at least a metal one? Well, we don't tend to think about it, but the strength of bones directly affects how you can act and how you look. Arya, can you pull up the files from the latest reconstitution?
The one with the hair?
Yes, the one with the hair. Imagine that you have an absolutely gorgeous skeleton with all metal bones. These bones don't have to be solid. They can be more tubey in shape because the steel is on average still much stronger. And this is good because your red blood cells are made inside of your bones and you don't want to disrupt that. I'm not a human doctor, but I'm pretty sure you need blood. Also, this more tubey shape, if adamantium is light and very efficient in its construction, probably means that you wouldn't be adding like 100 pounds onto your frame like it does to Wolverine, so you could spare some weight for maybe a claw or 6. So you have these metal tubey bones, what can you do with them? Well, much stronger bones means that you will be able to carry much more mass and much more muscle. This design would enable the average person, especially the more genetically gifted among us, to cultivate a lot more muscle mass on their frames and become much stronger than the average person. This is a more realistic pathway towards actual super strength. Lola! Oh, how many elephants did you eat? Oh, no.
She ate 7. The children were terrified.
Bones, when inside a living thing and not recently spit up by a kaiju who's misbehaving, are very good at repairing themselves. You would likely fall apart after just a few years if your body wasn't constantly repairing and maintaining and plastering your bones over with protein, thanks to all the tiny accumulating damage. With an adamantium skeleton, though, your bones would never need repair. The massive mechanical strength increase could handle any stress and strain from daily life. You could punch harder, fall from higher, and likely never break a bone. And if you did encounter some force that did bend you out of shape, forget about wearing some cast for 2 months until it totally smells like butt and you have to itch your skin with a pen or a pencil under the thing and then the pen or pencil smells all gross. No, just have your beef castle of a doctor with a metal skeleton bend you back into shape. Oh, not gonna lie though, that's gonna hurt a lot. Think of how society would change if we all had metal skellies. Everything that depended on the robustness of the human body would shift. Just think of what American football or all of the Olympics or boxing would look like if this was the case. Don't get me wrong though, there would be some potential downsides. Depending on the material and the density of it, swimming might be a thing of the past. Sorry, and going to the airport might be a tremendous hassle. And you definitely do not want the kind of surgical application of this material to your bones like Wolverine had. I don't think anyone could really survive that kind of trauma. And even if they did, I don't think their unchanged tendons and ligaments would handle the increased mass very well. I still think I can convince you on this idea though. Let's forget about the Wolverine part of this for a second and just imagine if we had metal skeletons from birth, if humans evolved to have metal skeletons. I think you might look very different.
Now
and you're gonna
arriving
like
at projection room 3.
Oh, perfect. Load the big boy program.
The one with the hair?
Yes. Remember when we used some biological scaling laws to resize the King of Monsters Godzilla? Well, what I left unsaid was that all of those equations use the same material and material strength, bone, and that makes sense, they're all the same kind of creature, but now we're considering metal. Canonically, Wolverine is 5'3", not very tall. If I grew up with metal bones, if humans evolved to have a metal skeleton, then using these same scaling relationships and increasing the strength of the material 5 to 10 times, I could theoretically be at least
5 times taller and 125 times more massive than Logan. Look at him down there, so tiny. Little baby claws, only 5'3". I'm now 30 feet tall and 20,000 pounds, and I have enough space in my forearms to fit what can only be described as finger swords longer than Logan is tall. A metal skeleton would be awesome. I'm pretty sure I convinced you. I don't ruin everything. Until next time. Arya, can you get Lola in here? We need to talk. The eating elephant thing is just not sustainable given their population size at all.
Now exiting the facility.
Thank you so much to the very nerdy staff at the facility for their direct and substantial support in creating this very video. Today, I especially want to call out research assistant Eric Harrington and visiting scholar Oli Sonera. If you want to join the facility, get on the staff, get on our Patreon and our Discord, where right now over 1,100 nerds are talking with each other at all hours of the day, having their own game nights, movie nights, giving me episode ideas, and sharing squid gifts. You can go to patreon.com/Kyle Hill and it's all there. And if you support the facility just enough there, you get your name here on Aria each and every week. And as you can see, there's more and more of you, so I don't know how to... I don't like the term indestructible, because indestructible, engineering-wise, has to be relative to something, right? So a metal bar would be indestructible to an ant, a single ant, but it's not indestructible to a human power hammer or a bandsaw or something. So adamantium could be indestructible for the average person and what they can do, a human non-mutant, but to sweet Magneto? Oh, no, I don't think that's indestructible anymore. Oh, still going. Okay, I'm just gonna... Thanks for watching.